Welcome to the Daily DLP. I'm on the road for the holidays, but I'm still going to take you on a trip around the division. So, this week could not really have worked out much better for the Detroit Lions in the NFC North. Let's start by getting the Bears out of the way. The Bears dropped a tight one, literally in the case of Darnell Mooney, to the Cleveland Browns. Justin Fields didn't have a great day against the Browns defense. Jim Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator, and he has guys on that roster to do some really cool things with the Browns defense, so that is very much not surprising. Not a ton of QBs have great days against that defense, but Fields, really not great day. 19 of 40, so under 50% completion percentage with one touchdown and two INTs. Of course, he did have receivers drop 2 touchdowns. But he ended the day, it is what it is. You are what your numbers say you are, with only 166 yards passing and 30 rushing. I haven't done a lot of these where Justin Fields was held to under 200 combined yards of offense. The Browns really made Fields and DJ Moore's lives difficult on Sunday. Moore was held to 4 catches and 52 yards. And he's just under 1,100 yards for the season with 3 games left. But he is a guy who does have these games where he just sort of, that level of production isn't a problem, but it's not creating a problem for the defense. On the defensive side of the ball for the Bears, Montez Sweat has really made me personally, and this is of course what matters, regret the decision the Lions made to not make that trade. They would have had to give up a first rounder and then hand him a giant check, but he's fundamentally changed the way this Bears defense works in a way that makes me think that would have been okay. Just to get that guy on this defense across from Aiden Hutchinson. In hindsight, I think I probably would have made that trade. Against the Browns, he had 7 tackles and 2.5 sacks, so I may just be having a little bit of recency bias there. As a Lions fan, I hate to see this, but the Bears still lost, which I love to see. I think that the way they lost and the fact that the game really did come down to a Hail Mary that should have probably been caught, given that it was in the receiver's hands, but it wasn't. The idea that the Bears are going to fire Matt Eberflus this offseason at one point seemed like it was an absolute certainty to happen. And now, I think that's a pretty distant trip away from reality. I can't imagine why they would. He has recovered this team and gotten this locker room back and organized and moving forward in a way that I really didn't think was possible after 4 weeks. The Green Bay Packers lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield lit them up for 384 yards and 4 touchdowns. Rachaad White added 89 on the ground for the Bucs. Chris Godwin put up 155 receiving yards on them. And then Jordan Love was 29 of 39 on the way to a very young Staffordian effort. Good stats, but they didn't lead to significant team success because the defense really didn't come to play this week. Dontavian Wicks put up 97 yards. Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed both got over 50 and a 10, put up touchdowns, both of them. Aaron Jones was back, but so the Packers did have a running back that could manage over 4 yards per carry in this game, but it didn't matter because they couldn't keep the game close enough for the running attack to really be a factor. Packers are now 2 games below 500 and out of contention for the NFC North. That magic number, boys and girls, is 0, and you'd love to see that with 3 weeks left in the year. So much for all of the people who were telling me that they were going to run the table and the Lions were going to lose the North. Where you at? How about the Vikings? Nick Mullins put up 303 yards. He was 26 of 33. and had 2 touchdowns. But because he's Nick Mullins, he also had 2 interceptions. Jordan Addison caught 6 for 111 with 2 touchdowns, so that's the Nick Mullins-Jordan Addison connection is definitely a thing. Rips my heart out every time I see him succeed in that uniform. He was one of my guys in the draft. I love that guy. He was my number 1 wide receiver in that draft with a bullet. All the teams not named the Chicago Bears in the NFC North just really love to draft my guys and then have them do well. It's infuriating. Justin Jefferson, yeah, I picked him too. Wide receiver 2 that year. Had 7 catches, 84 yards. A little bit more triumphant type of comeback than the one he had last week, now that he doesn't have Josh Dobbs throwing him into kill shots. Hawkinson, 6 catches, 63 yards. It's a very well-rounded passing attack in Minnesota. Because they're just running that Kirk Cousins offense with a quarterback that isn't as good. That's kind of the major difference there. Danielle Hunter added to the resume that makes him far and away the best pass rusher that might be available in the 2024 offseason. Why am I mentioning that? No reason at all. That's a move I would love to see the Lions make this year, just to kind of fix a major issue with the defense. And I just want to say, Josh Matelis is a really cool player, and Brian Flores is using him everywhere on the field. I think he has actually lined up in literally every position, all 11 spots. It's just a really cool thing that he's throwing at offenses. If I hadn't already given Ifeatu Melifonwu, or if players on other teams could win it, he would pretty much be a perpetual Ash Thompson presents the Roy Kent Award candidate. And given that the Lions are taking on the Vikings this week, I'm probably going to spend a bunch of time talking about him specifically, so I won't digress into it here. All in, the Vikings couldn't keep up with the Joe Browning Bengals with the Nick Mullins version of the Kirk Cousins offense. I've heard some people talking about Browning like he's the next Tom Brady with Joe Burrow as the Drew Bledsoe in this scenario, and come on. Internet, stop being dumb. You guys know I'm a Goff fan at this point, but if the Bengals were stupid enough to it is laughable. If they were dumb enough to get rid of Joe Burrow, please, Brad, make that call. I love Jared, but would take Joe Burrow in a second. Against the Brian Flores Vikings defense, though, Browning did manage to go 29 of 42 with 2 touchdowns and an interception. The Vikings lost in overtime to a Bengals squad that, while they are 3rd in their division, they would also be a playoff team if the playoffs started today. So, of course, Vikings fans now are calling for Kevin O'Connell's head. This is the guy who has them in playoff contention with 3 weeks to go after they lost their starting quarterback to an Achilles injury. Unlike the Jets, say, as an example. Using Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins as quarterback to get to this point. It's official. Vikings fans on Twitter are stupid. So to recap, Bears lost 5-9. Packers dropped out of the division race with a loss, taking them to 6-8. They might finish last in the division. You love to see it. The Vikings dropped to 7-7, and they're the only team not called the Detroit Lions that still have any remote chance of winning the division. I saw some projections this morning that have the Lions as a 100% lock for playoffs, even though they haven't actually clinched that yet, unless, depending on what happened Monday night. It's recording on Monday. The magic number is 1. A single Lions victory or Vikings loss, and the NFC North comes to Detroit for the first time in its existence. And you can kind of see my breath a little bit because I'm recording these outside and I'm in Canada. See you tomorrow.